Hi, I'm Danny Gill, and welcome to this video lesson on harmony and theory. So what is harmony and theory? Well, harmony and theory is the language of music. It's what allows musicians from all over the world who may speak different languages verbally to speak the same language on their instrument, regardless of what instrument they may play. Traditionally, harmony and theory is taught in the classroom. Lots of writing, not much playing. Here we're going to do things a little bit differently. Here we're going to try and apply the theory directly onto our instrument, which of course is the guitar. So whenever possible, I'm going to try and support the theory with a musical example. So I'll do this by playing along with some backing tracks, which are also available on this DVD, so you can try out the examples with the backing track, or better yet, try and come up with your own. So take advantage of those backing tracks. Throughout the DVD, you may need to write some things down, so I think it's a good idea if you have a pencil and a piece of paper ready, as well as your guitar. So if you've got those things, let's get to the lesson, okay? It's going to be fun. So if harmony and theory is the language of music, the first words you need to learn are the notes on the neck. It's hard to go any further if you're not familiar with the notes on the neck. If you are familiar, feel free to skip ahead, but we're going to learn the notes now. The musical alphabet consists of the first 7 letters of the regular alphabet. We have A, B, C, D, E, F, G. 7-letter names. On the guitar, the first string, the highest string, is the E string. So we're going to start from the note E. And here are the notes on the neck. E is the open string. On the first fret, we have the note F. I'm going to jump to the 3rd fret, and there we find the note G. On the 5th fret, the note is A. On the 7th fret, we have the note B. 8th fret, we have the note C. 10th fret, we find the note D. On the 12th fret, we find the note E, 1 octave above where we started. You may find 2 dots on your guitar on the 12th fret. That indicates 1 octave. So the 12th fret is the same as the name of the open string. I'll review that one more time. From the open E string, here's F, 1st fret, G on the 3rd fret, A on the 5th fret, 7th fret is B, 8th fret is C, 10th fret is D, 12th fret is E. Now, you may have noticed that we skipped some frets, so let's go to those now. On the 2nd fret, this has 2 names. We can call this F sharp. Sharp means we raise up a note by a half step. So we can call the 2nd fret of the high E string an F sharp, or we can call it G flat. Flat means we lower a pitch by a half step. So if we lower G by 1/2 step or 1 fret, we get G flat. So this pitch has 2 names, F sharp or G flat. So from the beginning now we have E, F, F sharp or G flat, followed by G. Moving upwards, on the 4th fret, we find G sharp or A flat, followed by A. On the 6th fret, we have A sharp or B flat. 7th fret, we find B. 8th fret, C. 9th fret, C sharp or D flat. 10th fret is D. 11th fret, D sharp or E flat. And then we're back to E. Now, one thing you may have noticed is that some of the letter names are a half step apart, which is 1 fret on the guitar. Some are a whole step apart, which is 2 frets on the guitar. So it's important to remember that the distance between B and C and the distance between E and F is 1/2 step. Otherwise, we have a whole step in between the notes. So I'll say that once again because that's important. B to C is a half step. E to F is a half step. All the other notes are a whole step apart. Now the relationship between the notes is the same throughout the guitar. If we take the next string, the second string, the name of that is the B string. So if we start from B, a half step above B is the note C. Above C we find C sharp or D flat, followed by D. Fourth fret we find D sharp or E flat. On the fifth fret we find the note E. Directly above E, one fret above E or half step above E, we find the note F. This is on the sixth fret of the B string. On the seventh fret we find F sharp or G flat, followed by G, followed by G sharp or A flat. That's on the ninth fret, followed by A. Then we have A sharp or B flat on the 11th fret. And then on the 12th fret, we have the same name as the open string. We find the note B. So rather than going through every fret on every string, why don't we take the first 5 frets for the remaining 4 strings? And I think you'll see how this works when we put all of the notes together on the guitar. If we take the G string, the first fret above the note G is G sharp or A flat. So here's the G string. First fret, G sharp or A flat. Second fret would be A. Third fret would be A sharp or B flat. Fourth fret is B. One fret above B or one half step is the note C. Let's move on to the D string now. This is the open D string. So what note is one half step or one fret above D? You should know by now it is D sharp or E flat. That note has 2 names. Followed by the note E on the second fret of the D string. On the third fret we find the note F. Fourth fret, F sharp or G flat. Fifth fret is the note G. Let's move now to the A string. Here's the open A. One half step above A is A sharp or B flat. On the second fret, we would find the note B. One half step above B, we find C. Half step above C is C sharp or D flat. Then on the fifth fret, we find the note D. And the low E string will be identical to the high E string. But just to review, here's the low E string. First fret would be F. Second fret, F sharp or G flat. Third fret, G. Fourth fret, G sharp or A flat. And then on the fifth fret, we find the note A. So as you're playing scales, try and name the notes. As you're playing chords, try and name the notes. It'll really go a long way in enhancing your musical knowledge. You'll be able to assimilate information faster if you know the notes on the neck. So really work hard on that. It'll help you out a lot. Now we're going to talk about the major scale. The major scale forms the basis for most melodies in Western music. The major scale is also known as the diatonic scale because it contains all 7-letter names of the musical alphabet. The major scale consists of a series of whole steps and half steps that never changes regardless of the tonic note. So now we're going to take a look at a C major scale. I'll play through it and then we'll talk about it some more. So this is one of many places on the guitar we can play the major scale. This is in the key of C. In the key of C, we have no sharps, no flats. On the low E string, I played C and D. On the A string, E, F, and G. On the D string, I played the notes A, B, and C. So now I've played all 7 notes of the musical alphabet, and now I'm back to the note C, 1 octave above where I started. Once again, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. We can continue into the next octave. On the G string, I'll play D, E, and F. On the B string, I'll play G and A. On the high E string, I can play B and C. If we put all that together, there's a 2-octave C major scale. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this major scale consists of a series of whole steps and half steps arranged in a specific order that never varies. From C to D, the distance is a whole step. On the guitar, a whole step is 2 frets. So that's our first interval jump, a whole step from the first note to the second note. Following this, from D to E, we have another whole step. E to F is a half step. F to G is a whole step. G to A is a whole step. A to B is a whole step. And then to get back to the note C, we have a half step from the note B to C. So the formula for the major scale is whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. So it's great if you can remember that. Whole, half, whole, half. If somebody asks you, how do you build a major scale? You say whole, half, whole, half. And that never varies, regardless of which tonic note we use. In other words, if I were to play a G major scale, I would use that same formula, but start on the note G. If I wanted to play an A major scale, I would use the same formula, but start on the note A. All right, let's put this to use. I'm going to jam in the key of C major with a backing track here, and then I'll come back and show you some of these ideas. So check it out. All right, so now let's learn some licks. This solo consisted of 8 short licks, all in the key of C major. Here's the first lick. I'm starting off by bending from the 7th fret of the G string up a whole step before playing the 5th fret on the B string, 5th fret on the high E string. Now I'm going to play 8, pull off to 5 on the B string, 7 on the G string, 5 on the B, and then I land on the root note C found on the 5th fret of the G string. So once again, here's the whole lick. The The second lick is kind of similar, slightly different towards the end. It sounds like this. So I start off with that same idea of bending a whole step from the 7th fret of the G string before playing 5 on the B, 5 on the high E. Pull off 8 to 5 on the high E string, 5B, 5E, and I end by sliding from 8 to 10 on the B string. Here's the third lick. Starts off the same, bend a whole step from the 7th fret of the G string, play 5B, 5 on the high E. Pull off 8, 5 on the B string, 7G, 5B. Now I'm going to play 6, pull off to 5 on the B string, 7 on the G string, 5 on the B, back to 5 on the G string. So this lick ends on the note C, 5th fret of the G string. If we put all of those notes together, once again, lick number 3 sounds like this. Lick number 4 is rather short, uses some slides. It sounds like this. So I'm sliding from the note D to the note E, 7 to 9 on the G string. Back down to the 7th fret of the G string. Up to the 9th fret and on the 5th fret. Once again. Okay, we're halfway there. Here's lick number 5. Starting on the note C, 3rd fret of the A string, I'm then going to slide 5 to 7, play 5, 7 on the D, 5, 7 on the G string. Last 2 notes of this idea, 5 on the B, 5 on the G string. Put that together, we get this. Here's lick number 6. Starts off in a similar manner. We end on a G note rather than a C note though. So we're going to start off on C, 3rd fret of the A string, slide 5 to 7, D string 5 to 7, G string 5, 7, slide to 9, B string, slide 8 up to 10, go back to 8. So the whole phrase, once again, would sound like this. Here's lick number 7. Starting on the note C, 3rd fret of the A string, slide 5 to 7, 5 on the D, strike that again before sliding from 7 to 10 on the D string. So far we've done this. Now I'm going to play 7 on the G, strike that again before striking the 9th fret of the G string. B string, 8, 10, strike 10 again, slide up to 13, strike 13 once again. And if we put all of that together, and here's the final lick. Starting off on the note C, high E string, 8th fret. I'll then play 10 to 8 on the B string, 9 on the G, 7, 5 on the G string, slide from 7 to 9 on the G string, finally ending on a C note, 5th fret G string. Okay, so let's put all 8 licks together now, once again. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 3, 4. All right, so there was an example of how to play a solo in the key of C major. I'm going to go ahead and solo over this progression one more time, but this time I'm going to play a little fancier. I'm going to have some quicker phrases in there. So check it out, and then we'll come back and break it down. So this solo consists of 4 licks. The first lick sounds like this. So here I'm starting off with a whole step bend from the 7th fret of the G string, and then I'm going to play 5 on the B, 5 on the high E string. Pull off 8 to 5 on the B string, 7 G back to 5 B, pull off 6 to 5 on the B string, 7 on the G, 5 B, pull off 7 to 5 on the G string, 7 on the D string, back to 5 on the G string. Put all that together, we get this. The second lick starts off in a similar fashion, but then goes somewhere different towards the end. Second lick sounds like this. So we bend a whole step from the 7th fret of the G string, followed by 5B, 5 on the high E, 8 to 5 on the high E string, 8B followed by 5 on the high E, 7 pull off to 5 on the high E string, 8 on the B, back to 5 on the high E, pull off 8 to 5 on the B, slide 7 to 9 on the G string, and then we end on 10 on the B string, which is the note A. So once again, here's the second lick of this solo. The third lick sounds like this. Start off with our favorite idea of bending a whole step from the 7th fret of the G string, followed by the 5th fret of the B, 5th fret of the high E string. Pull off 8 to 5 on the B string, 7 on the G string, back to 5 on the B, pull off 6 to 5 on the B string, 7 on the G, 5 B, pull off 7 5 on the G string, 7 on the D, back to 5 on the G string, pull off 6 to 5 on the B string, 7 on the G string, 5 on the B, 4 more notes to go now. We're going to play 7, pull off to 5 on the G string, and we end 7 5 on the D string. So we end on the note G. Once again, here's the third lick of this solo. And here's the fourth and final lick. So I start off by pulling off from the 8th fret to the 5th fret on the high E string 2 times, followed by 8 on the B, 5 on the high E, pull off 8 to 5 on the B string 2 times, 7 G, 5 B, pull off 6 to 5 on the B, slide from 7 to 9 on the G before landing on the 5th fret of the G string. So once again, lick number 4. So let's play that entire solo once again. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. So there were some ideas in the key of C major. So just to summarize this chapter, you should know the formula for the major scale, which is whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. You should be able to play the major scale, and you should be able to play some licks using the notes of the major scale. So please feel free to experiment along with the backing tracks. I was playing in the key of C, so one of the backing tracks is in the key of C major, so you can find that backing track, you can try out these examples that I just taught you, or better yet, come up with your own. So enjoy that. Now we're going to talk about intervals. The distance between any two notes is an interval. The name of the interval is based on the amount of scale steps they contain. Here's what I mean. If we take a G major scale and I play from the first note to the second note, that interval is known as a second. So from G to A is a second. If I play from the first note to the third note, in this case it would be G to B, that's known as a third. And we can continue up the major scale in a similar fashion. The first note to the fourth note is known as a fourth. That was G to C. The first note to the fifth note is a fifth. This is G and D. First note to the sixth note is known as a sixth. That's G to E. And the first note to the seventh note, G to F sharp, is known as a seventh. So if someone plays a note G and says, can you play a third above that, you would play the note B. Now, if we play one note after another, those are called melodic intervals. If I play two notes simultaneously, those are known as harmonic intervals. So right now I'm going to show you an exercise using diatonic thirds in the key of G major. I'm going to play thirds in 3 octaves in the key of G major. So check out the exercise and then I'll come back and teach it to you. Here it is. So these are harmonic intervals because I'm playing 2 notes simultaneously. The first note is G. I'm using only notes from the G major scale. The third scale step above G is B, so I play G and B together. Now I continue up the scale in a similar fashion. The second note of the scale is A, and I'm going to play a third above A within the G major scale. 1, 2, 3. That gives me the note C, so I play A and C together. Following this, I'm going to play B and D, C and E. Now I'm going to shift to the next 2 strings. I'm going to play D and F sharp, E and G, F sharp and A, G and B. So now I'm 1 octave above where I began. So let's continue. I'm going to shift now to the next 2 strings, the D and the G string. I'm going to play A and C together, B and D, C and E, D and F sharp. Now shift to the G and the B strings. I'm going to play E and G together, F sharp and A, G and B. Now I'm going to continue onwards, A and C together. Shift positions on the top 2 strings. I'm going to play B and D, followed by C and E, D and F sharp, E and G. So this is the G major scale harmonized in diatonic thirds. Fancy title, but just goes like this. And of course, it's also a good idea to work your way back down. So those are harmonic intervals. We're playing 2 notes simultaneously. Melodic intervals are when we play 1 note after another note. So we can take the same concept and play this with melodic intervals. So here's G major in diatonic thirds, but I'm going to play 1 note following another note. It sounds like this. So I started from the first note G, and I jumped to the third note B. Then I went to the second note of the scale, which is A, and jumped to the third above A within the scale, which is C. B to D, C to E, D to F sharp, E to G, F sharp to A, and then I just landed on the root note G. So there's one octave of a G major scale in diatonic thirds. That's a very common and useful sequence. So now I'm going to demonstrate how we can play some melodic as well as harmonic intervals together in a short solo in the key of G major. So check out the solo and then we'll come back and break it down. Okay, so this is in the key of G major. I'm starting off with fourth intervals. I'm playing D and G together. So D is found on the 7th fret of the G, G is found on the 8th fret of the B string. I'm going to strike that 3 times. And then I'm going to play thirds on the 7th fret of the same 2 strings. I'll strike those 2 strings together twice. So here's what we've done so far. Back to the 4th interval, which is D and G. Strike that 3 times. Now I'm going to move down to the 5th fret, play some thirds here. 5th fret of the G string, 5th fret of the B string. So this is a C and an E together. So far we've done this. Now I'm going to go back to the first interval shape, which is fourths. Now I'm going to play diatonic thirds with melodic intervals. I'm going to play single notes, one after the other. Starting on the 10th fret of the B string, 7, 8 on the B string, 9 G, 7 on the B string, 7, 9 on the G, 5, 7, ending on the 4th fret, which is the note B on the 4th fret of the G string. Now I'm going to go back to the first shape, which is D and G together, the fourths. 7th fret on the same 2 strings. These are thirds. Now I'm going to shift positions, 14th fret of the G string, 13th fret of the B string. These are thirds I'm playing here, thirds within the scale, within G major. I'm going to strike these 2 strings 3 times, and then I'm going to play on the 12th fret of the same 2 strings. Those are also thirds within the scale. Now we're going to play some diatonic thirds, single notes. 8th fret followed by the 12th fret on the B string, 10th fret on the B string followed by 8 on the high E, 12th fret on the B, 10th fret high E, 8 to 12 on the high E. Here's that line once again. And the final phrase uses sixes and sounds like this. So here I'm going to slide 9 to 11 on the G string, followed by 10 on the high E. Slide 11, 12 on the G, followed by 12 on the high E. Slide 12 to 14 on the G, followed by 14 on the high E. Slide 14 to 17 on the G string, followed by 17 on the high E. And then I end by playing 16 G, 15 high E together. So here's the entire solo once again. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's an example of how you can take advantage of intervals found within the major scale. So just to summarize this chapter on intervals, if someone asks you to play a fifth above them, you should know what they're talking about. So if you're in the key of G major, someone plays the note G, you should be able to say, okay, no problem, I'll play a D. If someone says play a third above me, if I'm in the key of G, someone plays a G, what's a third above G? You should know that that's a B. If you know all of that, you're ready to move on. Well, so far we've talked about scales. Now we're going to talk about chords. Most basic chords consist of a specific arrangement of 3 notes called triads. A triad consists of a root note, which gives the chord its letter name, a third interval above the root note, and a fifth interval above the root note. So we're going to learn some triads in the key of A. I'm going to start off on the D, G, and the B strings. We're going to play an A triad here, starting with A on the 7th fret of the D string, C sharp, which is a third above that A, on the 6th fret of the G string, and then E on the 5th fret of the B string, which is a fifth above A. I put these 3 notes together and I get an A major triad. Now I'm going to move up the neck on these same 3 strings and play another A major triad. For this triad, on the D string, I have the note C sharp, which is the 3rd. E, which is the 5th, is found on the 9th fret of the G string. A, which is the root note, is found on the 10th fret of the B string. So here's an A triad. The root note is on the B string. Now we're going to play one more A triad on these same 3 strings. I'm going to move up to the 14th fret now. So on the 14th fret of the D string, I'll play E. 14th fret of the G string, I get the root note A. 14th fret of the B string, I get the major 3rd C sharp. So now we've played 3 A major triads. The order is a little bit different each time. These are known as inversions. But yet the 3 notes make up an A triad. It doesn't matter what the order of those 3 notes are. So now here's a longer exercise playing A major triads all over the neck using the other strings. I'll play through it and then we'll break it down. The first A triad I played started off with the root note A, 5th fret of the low E string, the 3rd C sharp, 4th fret of the A string, and the 5th, which is E, I played on the 2nd fret of the D string. The next A triad starts off on the 4th fret of the A string, that's C sharp, the major 3rd, followed by E, which is the 5th, and the root note A is found on the G string. The next triad, I'm going to play E on the D string, A on the G string, C sharp on the B string. So far we've played 3 A triads. Now I'm going to shift positions. 7th fret, D string, I'll play A, followed by C sharp and E. That's the same triad we were doing earlier. The next triad I'm going to play C sharp on the 6th fret of the G string, E on the 5th fret of the B string, A on the 5th fret of the high E string. Same 3 strings, I'm now going to move up the neck. I'm going to play E on the 9th fret of the G string, the root note A on the 10th fret of the B string, and then C sharp, the major 3rd, on the 9th fret of the high E string. I'm going to move up again. Now I'm going to play A on the 14th fret of the G string, C sharp on the 14th fret of the B string, E on the 12th fret of the high E string. And then I can move all the way up here. I can play on the 18th fret of the G string, that's C sharp, 17th fret of the B string, I can play the note E, 17th fret of the high E string, I get the note A. So if I play all of those triads, here's the exercise. And you should also be able to get back down. Now let's talk about minor triads. The difference between a major triad and a minor triad is the third interval. If we lower the third of a major triad by 1/2 step or 1 fret, we create a minor triad. So if we compare A major to A minor, whereas A major has A, C sharp, and E, A minor will have A, C, and E. The C being the minor third of A. So let's play that same exercise we just learned, but this time let's apply A minor triads. So here's the first shape. So I have A, C, and E. Following this, I'll play C, E, and the root note A, followed by E, A, and C. The root note is in the middle here on the G string. Shift positions. I'm going to play A on the D string, 7th fret, followed by C and E. Next triad, we're going to play C, E, and A. The root note is on the 5th fret of the high E string. Here's what we've done so far. Moving up on the top 3 strings, our next A minor triad looks like this. G string, I'm playing the note E on the 9th fret, followed by A on the 10th fret of the B string, that's our root note. The minor third C is found on the 8th fret of the high E string. Shifting positions once again, the next A minor triad looks like this. So the root note A is on the 14th fret of the G string. I'm playing C, the minor third, on the 13th fret of the B string, followed by the 12th fret of the high E string. I'm playing the 5th E. And finally, up on the 17th fret, I can bar across the top 3 strings, and there's the last A minor triad. C, E, A. So let's put all of those together now. And if we come back down, All right, well, that's a lot of shapes. That's a lot of major chords. It's a lot of minor chords. Let's try and apply this now. The first chord progression that we soloed over was in the key of C major, and here are the basic chords for that chord progression. We played C, followed by G, followed by F. Then we repeated C, G, and F. Following this, C, G, A minor, F. Finally ending C, G, F. So this whole jam is an 8-bar chord progression. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that sounds fine just using open chords, but if we use some of the triads that we just learned, maybe we can embellish those open chords a little bit. So for example, I could play a C chord like this, where I'm playing C on the 5th fret of the G string, and then I'm surrounding that root note C by playing G on the 5th fret of the D string, E on the 5th fret of the B string. Then we go to G, maybe I'll take a G chord here. We've learned a lot, so we can kind of pick and choose where we want to play these triads now. So here I'm playing G, B, D. That's my G major chord. Then maybe I want to go down to F, just move this chord shape back a whole step. Now I go back to C, back to G. Now we go to F again. Maybe I want to pick a different F. How about this one? Here I have the root note on the 6th fret of the B string, that's F. And I surround that with C on the 5th fret of the G string, A on the 7th fret of the D string. Now I go back to C, to G. This time I'm going to play an A minor chord. So an A minor triad in this position, why don't I choose this one? 7th fret on the D string, 5th fret G, 5th fret on the B string. So I have A, C, and E. Now I can go back to an F chord. Why don't I choose the same F chord that I just played previously? The F with the root note F on the 6th fret of the B string. And we end C, G, and F. So this is one way to play this chord progression out of many possibilities. If we put that all together, it could sound something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, well, there's one way to play over this chord progression. There's lots of possibilities. So take some time and experiment over that C major backing track. Let's try learning the chords now for the other backing track that we've played over today, which is G major. Here are the basic chords for the G major backing track. G, D, E minor, C, G, D, C, G, D, A minor, E minor, C, and D. So this is also an 8-bar chord progression. If I put those 8 bars together, it sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, well now let's try applying some of these new triads that we've learned. Why don't we start off by taking the root note on the A string. Here's one way to play a G major triad, root note on the A string. So I have G, B, and D. Next chord is D. I'm going to play F sharp, A, followed by the root note D on the G string. So G, D. Next chord is E minor. I'm going to play E minor, E, G, and B, followed by a C chord. So here I have E, G, and C. Here's what I've done so far. G, D, E minor, C. Back to G, D, and C. Back to G, D. Now I'm going to play A minor. So here's one way that we can play A minor. I have E, A, and C. The root note is in the middle on the D string. Following the A minor chord, I'm going to go to an E minor chord, E, G, and B, followed by a measure of C. Here I have E, G, and C, and a measure of D. Okay, so let's put all of that together. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, well in this chapter, we've gone through the two most common triads, major and minor. There are 4 triads altogether, major, minor, diminished, and augmented. Before moving on to the others, you need to really have a good handle on the major and the minor. So spend some time absorbing this information, experiment with the backing tracks, and if you do all that, then you're ready to move on. So good luck with the triads. Now we're going to talk about note values and rhythm. Just as clock time is divided into various units of measure, the smallest which is the second, so is musical time divided into various units of measure, the smallest which is the beat. And just as seconds are grouped together to form minutes, so are beats grouped together to form what is called the meter. The most common groupings are 2, 3, and 4 beats, which are put together into measures or bars. And the most common time signature would have 4 beats in each measure. If I play 1 note per beat, I'm playing what are known as quarter notes. And they sound something like this. I'll play the note E on the 2nd fret of the D string. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's as easy as that. I play once per beat. Those are quarter notes. That was 1 measure. If I played 2 measures, it would sound something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. If I play 1 note that lasts for 2 beats, these are known as half notes. Half notes sound something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And if I do that for 2 measures, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. If I sustain 1 note for 4 beats or an entire measure, these are known as whole notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so now I'm going to try and apply this over the backing track in the key of G major, and I'm going to play quarter notes and half notes, and I'll end with a whole note. So check it out, and then we'll come back and learn it. All right, so let's break this down. This is in the key of G major. I'm starting off with half notes. The first note is B, 4th fret of the G string. So I sustain that for 2 beats. Then I'm going to play the note A on the 2nd fret of the G string for 2 beats. So the first measure sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm going to move back to the note B for 2 beats, followed by the note G on the 5th fret of the D string for 2 beats. That takes us through the first 2 measures. In the 3rd measure, I'll play B on the 4th fret of the G string for 2 beats and D on the 7th fret of the G string for 2 beats. Here's what we've done so far. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm going to play some quarter notes. Starting off with the 5th fret of the D string, I'll play G, A on the 7th fret. On the 4th fret of the G string, I'm going to play the note B, followed by the 5th fret of the G string, I'll play the note C. So I have 1 measure of quarter notes. Then I'm going to repeat the first 2 measures, where I play B, A, B, G. And in the final 2 measures, I'm going to mix up half notes and quarter notes. Starting with the 9th fret of the G string on the note E. I'm going to sustain that for 2 beats before playing on the 11th fret of the G string. That note is F sharp. Play that for a quarter note. Strike it again, bend up a half step, then come back down and strike the note without the bend. And we end by moving up to the 14th fret of the G string. That's an A note. I'm going to bend up a whole step and then release the bend and strike the 14th fret without the bend. The last note is G. That's our root note, 12th fret of the G string, and I'll hold that for 4 beats. So let's try putting all of that together now. 1, 2, 3, 4. If we divide a quarter note in half, we get what are known as eighth notes. So 2 eighth notes occur within the space of 1 quarter note, and we count these 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. The and being where my foot is in an up position. So it sounds something like this. I'll play that same note E on the 2nd fret of the D string. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So that was a measure of eighth notes. Once again, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. If we divide an eighth note in half, we get what are known as 16th notes. We have 4 16th notes in the space of 1 quarter note, or 2 16th notes in the space of 1 eighth note. We count these 1E and a, 2E and a, 3E and a, 4E and a. So let's try that now. 1, 2, 3E and a, 4E and a, 1E and a, 2E and a, 3E and a, 4E and a. And again, 1, 2, 3, 4. So our next example is very similar to the previous example, but here we're going to add some eighth notes and some 16th notes into the mix. So check it out. So here I'm starting off with 16th notes. The first 4 notes are G, A, B, C. 5th fret to the 7th fret on the D string, followed by the 4th fret to the 5th fret on the G string. Next 16th note phrase sounds like this. So here I'm playing 7th fret on the D, 4, 5, 7 on the G. So far I've done this. Now some half notes, 4 to 2 on the G string. Back to the 4th fret of the G string, this is a half note. 5th fret of the D string, this is a quarter note. Now I'm going to play some 16th notes, 5 to 7 on the D string, 4 to 5 on the G string. So here's what we've done so far. We start on beat number 3. 1, 2, now some half notes, 4 on the G, 7 on the G. 16th notes, 7, 5, 4 on the G, 7 on the D. The next beat combines 2 16th notes along with an 8th note. So 5 to 4 on the G string, 16th notes, followed by 7 on the D string. Now 8th notes, 5 to 7 on the D, 4 to 5 on the G. Okay, continuing onwards. Half notes, 4 to 2 on the G string, 4 on the G, 5 on the D. Now we have some 8th notes, 7 on the G string, 9, 11, bend up a half step from the 11th fret, come back down and strike that without the bend. Back to the 9th fret, back to the 7th fret. And I'm going to end with some 16th notes. 11, 12, 14 on the G, 12 on the B, 13, 12 on the B, 14 on the G, 12 on the B, 15, 13, 12 on the B, 14 on the G, 13, 12 on the B, 14 on the G, 12 on the B, and the last note, 12 on the G. So here's the whole exercise. 1, 2, If we have 3 notes per beat, these are known as eighth note triplets, and they sound like this. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a. 2 measures would sound like this. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a. 6 notes per beat are known as 16th note triplets. So here's one measure of 16th note triplets. 1, 2, 3, 4. Two measures would sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. One of my old teachers used this little limerick to remember 16th note triplets. Bottle in front of me, frontal lobotomy. So I still think of that when I'm playing 16th note triplets. Bottle in front of me, frontal lobotomy. So if that helps, feel free to use that as well. If we have 8 notes for every 1 beat, these are known as 32nd notes. So usually this means we're playing pretty quickly, but depending on the tempo, depending on how fast the quarter notes appear, this doesn't necessarily mean that we're playing at a blistering tempo. But in any case, 32nd notes are 8 notes for every 1 beat. 1, 2, 3, 4. Two measures would sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I'm going to solo over this backing track one more time. This time the solo is going to be a little bit bluesier. I'm going to use some more bends and some slides, and I'm going to end with a 16th note triplet phrase. So check it out with the backing track, and then we'll come back and learn it. All right, so now let's take a look at that solo. I'm starting off on the D string, sliding from 7 to 9, and then grabbing 7 on the G string. Back to the D string, 9, slide back to 7, pull off to 5, and then play 7 on the A string. Back to the root note G on the 5th fret of the D string. Strike that again, and then slide 7 to 9 on the G string. Now I'm going to do a bend of a whole step from the 10th fret of the B string, grab 8 to 10 on the high E, back to 8 on the B string. Now I'm going to shift positions. I'm going to bend up on the 14th fret of the G string a whole step, and then I'm going to play 12, 13, 15 on the B string. Now I'm going to do a pre-bend of a whole step from the 14th fret of the G string, release the bend, pull off to the 12th fret of the G string, and then play 14 on the D string. Back to the 12th fret of the G string, followed by 14 on the D, 12 on the G. Now slide 14 to 16 on the G string, play 15 on the B, hammer on 15 to 17 on the high E string before going back to G on the 15th fret of the high E string. So here's what we've done so far. 1, 2, Okay, let's move on. Now I'm going to bend a whole step from the 17th fret of the high E string and then strike that note without the bend. Back to 15, 17, followed by 15 on the B string. So that whole phrase would sound like this. Now a similar phrase, but now I'm going to bend up a whole step from the 15th fret of the high E before playing the 15th fret without the bend. Followed by 14, 15 pull off to 14, back to 12 on the B string. Now I'm going to play 12 on the G string, 14 on the G, strike that again, slide up to 16, back to 14. So that whole phrase. Now 12, 14 on the G, on the B string, 12, 13. Now 12, 13, 15 on the B string. And now here come those 16th note triplets. 12, 14, 15 on the high E string. Shift positions, 14, 15, 17 on the high E string. Before ending 15 on the high E string. That's our root note G. So here's the entire solo. 1, 2, All right, so if we sum up this chapter, you should be able to play and identify note values from a whole note up to 30-second notes. So make sure you jam along with the backing track, try out some of these licks I've showed you, or better yet, come up with your own. So have fun with that. All right, so here we are with the final chapter of this DVD. We're going to talk about harmonizing the major scale. What this is a group of chords that are built from the notes of the diatonic major scale. The major scale has 7 notes, so we can build 7 chords, one beginning on each scale step. And we do this by stacking thirds, playing every other note together. If we do this in the key of G, the first chord we get is a G major chord. So the one chord in the key of G is a G major chord. The next note in the G major scale after G is A. And if I play every other note, every third note from A, but stay within the notes of the G major scale, I get an A minor chord. These are all triads that we're playing. So the second chord in the key of G major is A minor. The third chord is B minor. Fourth chord, C major. Fifth chord, D major. Sixth chord, E minor. And the seventh chord is F sharp diminished. That's one we haven't done yet. That contains F sharp, A, and C. That's an F sharp diminished triad. And then we're back to G, one octave above where we started. So let's review that. The one chord is G. The second chord in G major is A minor chord. 3 chord B minor. 4 chord C major. 5 chord D major. 6 chord E minor. 7 chord, F sharp diminished. And then we have an octave above where we started, G major. So you may ask, why bother? What is the point of doing this? Well, this has huge advantages if you are familiar with the chords of the harmonized major scale. Let's say we have a song that has G, D, and C in it. For example, Knocking on Heaven's Door. All right, well, let's say someone says, I need a great solo over these chords. What are you going to do? Are you just going to go by ear and try and find your way around and hope that you don't hit any sour notes? Or, knowing the chords of the harmonized major scale, are you going to say to yourself, G could be the 1 chord, the first chord in the key of G. D major is the 5 chord in the key of G. C major is the 4 chord in the key of G. All these chords are built from notes of the major scale. I can therefore use the G major scale when soloing over these chords. So now with confidence you can know what scale to use when soloing. So this has huge advantages. So you have to memorize the order of the chords in the diatonic harmonized major scale, and that is major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished. So you have to say that in your sleep. Major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished. You need to know that without thinking too much about it. What if we have a song that has G, D, and A minor? Once again, we go through the same process. We can start just by guessing. The first chord is often the key that we're in. So if we guess that G is the first chord and we're in the key of G, then you have to ask yourself, does D major fit in the key of G? D is the 5th of G, major, minor, minor, major, major. The 5 chord in the key of G is D major. Yes, it fits. A minor, A is the 2nd note in the key of G. Minor is the 2nd chord, therefore A minor also belongs in the key of G. So I played a 1, 5, 2 in the key of G. So I can use the G major scale to solo over these chords. Musicians also talk in numbers. So if someone says to you, play a 1, 4, 5 in the key of G, what would you do? Would you panic and say, I don't know what you're talking about? Or, knowing this information now, you can play 1 in the key of G would be a G major chord. The 4th note in the G major scale is C, 1, 2, 3, 4. The 4th chord, major, minor, minor, major, is a C major chord. And the 5th chord that you know now is D major. So if someone says to you, play a 1, 4, 5 in the key of G, you would say, no problem, G, C, and D. All right, well, if all of this information is new for you, I've probably been talking pretty fast. But that's the beauty of the DVD here, is that you can just rewind and absorb this information at your own pace. But knowing the chords of the harmonized major scale can really help you out a lot. Not only will it help your improvising because you'll be able to analyze chord changes and know what scale to use, but this will also improve your ears because you'll be able to anticipate chord changes. It'll improve your songwriting because you'll know what chords naturally fit well together. So there's a lot of advantages to knowing the chords of the harmonized major scale. So to summarize this chapter, you should be able to say this: major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished. That's the order of the chords in the harmonized major scale, and you should be able to play those in every key. Okay, so if you can do that, then you got your money's worth out of this DVD. Okay, so take some time with that, try and absorb this information, and I think that'll really help you out. All right, well, here we are at the end of the DVD, and this is where I'm supposed to leave you with some words of wisdom. And what I was thinking about is the old myth that if musicians somehow know too much, they lose their creativity and their feel on the instrument. It somehow sounds cooler if a great player says, "Oh, I don't know what I'm doing, I just play." And there may be a lot of great players who can do that, but for me personally, I've been able to get to a place where I can play effectively much faster by knowing what it is that I'm doing. If I can analyze chords and figure out what scale to use, I can play with confidence much quicker than if I just kind of go by ear and try and find everything. So hopefully this DVD has done that for you as well, so you can build up your confidence as a musician and know that you're playing the right scales at the right time. So hopefully this has been fun for you. I know this has been fun for me, and I hope to see you again soon. Thanks for watching. Good luck.